Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unpopular Review.
Thank you all for clicking on our faces.
New flag with all that.
Okay, so I wrote down some notes.
Shots do that. I don't want to sit too hard garbage. That's twice. That'll probably go over about as well as Colonel Dippy.
Because there was no Jay White site.
Okay, just straight up gangbanging.
This story has been fit. You gotta pay attention.
So Unpopular Review does not. What is she the CEO of, Chris? Jesus, golly. Let's start the show.
Hello. How's it going?
What's going on?
Not bad. We're here to bring back a classic, a fan favorite, if you will. We're back doing Drunken reviews, one shots, where we give a series one shot to impress us by watching the very first episode. So we decided to give you all a little Star Wars theme. So we're going to be making our way through all of the live action Disney Plus Star Wars shows. So being that the Acolyte just wrapped, I believe, not long ago, I want to say about a week or two ago, we decided to start with that one first. Now, full disclosure, I do know a little bit what happens with the Acolyte. I haven't watched all of the episodes. I've probably seen like a couple, but not the full season. So I do have a little bit more of insight as opposed to a one shot. But Vic, I believe this is your first time watching it. Is that right?
Yes. I just finished it. And it's very Star Wars.
Okay, good.
It's definitely very Star Wars.
Good or bad?
Well, it's not. It's interesting because here's the thing. Like when it comes to this content, it's way more entertaining when you've watched all the movies and you know the characters and you know all of that. Mm-hmm. So the interesting thing about this is that there is a couple certain characters there, like the Jedi Masters, that I think, I could be wrong, are people from previous movies or previous shows and things like that. Like basically the one who got killed, the lady that got killed in the beginning.
Oh, Trinity from the Matrix.
Yeah, Trinity. Facts. Thank you.
When
Trinity got killed, and then she was having a Matrix fight. The first thing of the show, and then she gets killed, which was interesting. But I don't know if she was a character in a previous Star Wars thing, right? But the point is just that they made her. It was basically like like the Jedi's versus the Sith, and a little bit of that. So they pretty much put a little bit of it in there, and then terminologies like who your Padawan was, who the master is, and things like that. So it's a little futuristic compared to that time, but you could easily get into the story if you know nothing.
Okay.
If you know nothing, you can easily get into the story. So that's something that was refreshing because for a long time I did not, at least until I got into Unpopular Reviews, I didn't know anything about Star Wars content because it just wasn't my thing. But this is a quite interesting show. The way that they set it up.
I know a couple years ago, Unpopular Review did do like all of the Star Wars films, all of that. So me back in the day, I was a big fan of the prequels. Like I really enjoyed the prequels with Anakin Skywalker, Padme, and all of that. Not too much. Now, when I say this, I don't want anybody like to beat down my throat. I'm not too much a fan of the originals. Like they're very old school, and a little boring in some places. But I get that they were very revolutionary for their time. And I understand why they created such a big fan base in order for us to even have prequels and sequels and stuff like that. I get that. And as far as the sequels are concerned, they weren't my favorite. By this time Disney had kind of taken over Star Wars, so they put their Disney touch into things. But I can still appreciate visually what they look like. The sword fights were awesome. The costumes were awesome. So that is something that they definitely added to the or at least continued with Star Wars. And they also gave us all of these, live action shows. So here we go. But to bring it back to the Acolyte, just a quick synopsis. In Star Wars, The Acolyte, an investigation into a shocking crime spree pits suspected Jedi Master against a dangerous warrior from his past. With all episodes now streaming on Disney Plus, join us on StarWars.com, blah, 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 blah. So pretty much they're saying the crime, which is the murder of Trinity's character within like the first couple minutes of the show, and some other things. Now, from what we saw in this episode, I'm trying to remember because I kind of passed on to episode 2 a little bit. We discover that Osha, who they're kind of like hinting at that may have previously, or they stated may have previously been training to become a Jedi. She removed herself, or was removed from the Jedi school from learning, and since then became like this ship maker, or like she's on a ship like fixing things, which is apparently illegal, right? But she still has like some sort of, she still has the training that she has, even though interestingly enough, we saw in the episode that she doesn't have the force pull, the force push. She can't really use it because there was one part in the show where she was locked up, and she tried to escape by using the force, but she couldn't use it. So I'm like, don't all Jedis kind of have access to the force? I thought that was the case, but
no, you gotta go through training. Remember Yoda?
Okay.
Yoda, you know what I mean? You gotta go through training, and you gotta learn how to do all of that.
Okay, so she just maybe didn't complete her training enough.
Exactly. I don't think that she didn't complete complete the training, and then so she didn't necessarily gain these abilities. It looks like she was starting to, but then never followed through. Yeah, because she has a teacher that
from
she
Squid
connected
Games.
with.
You remember him from Squid Games?
Oh, facts. That's the guy from Squid Game.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh, wow. Damn, I don't remember him speak because I didn't see him speak English.
Yeah, you watched
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say, wow, that's crazy. They pulled out the Squid Games guy. Look where he landed.
Making a check. I thought they were making a season 2 of Squid Games. What happened to that? They was
facts for real. I think
they filmed this series though some years ago. This isn't like something that they finished. I think it's just something that they just released. So there's that. But I do think it's interesting that when we see like a flashback of Osha, and him training her with the other young Jedi students, he asks them to close their eyes and kind of describe what they see. And she says fire and then, all of this. And it seems as if based on the score, because the music kind of went a little dark, and it seemed like that is concerning. Like maybe there's a little bit of the dark side in her, kind of similar to how Anakin had like a little bit of that. And also she's kind of old to be a new student, because I believe that was also something with Anakin. They were saying, oh yeah, we can't train him in the Force, he's too old and things like that. But when the his character, the guy from Squid Games, he tried to like phrase it as if it wasn't that bad. Like when she said, oh, I see fire, and the other he's like, oh, I see water, and the other he's like, oh yeah, it's a strong, the force is strong like fire and water. Like he tried to shift it. Like you can see, like he definitely tries to be, a very understanding kind of, professor, tutor of the force. Which is interesting because I feel as if Jedis are very strict for the most part. At least the Jedi as a whole, they seem to be very, oh, these are the ways, you can't really go out of this line. If you do, then you're kicked out. Or if you do, then you must be part of, the dark side or something. That's how they seem to be. But not him, apparently. And I thought that was interesting.
Well, I mean, he's a master, so your Padawans, you gotta have compassion for your Padawans for them to make mistakes. So like Yoda, that's one of the reasons why Yoda is so loved, and Obi-Wan is so loved as well, you know, because they're compassionate in their thinking. They're very like
Yeah.
mother nature, to put
Even,
it.
even Luke Skywalker, and when we see in the sequels, he's very patient with Rey for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's just the whole flow of the Jedi Master. Like, I mean, you could even see it in the fight. Because look, it was like us watching a Steven Seagal movie. Like, he was straight up barely breaking a sweat, just moving left and right. I mean, it also felt like Matrix. Like, she wasn't, you know, I was just waiting for her to turn her head. Like, huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Like she was a Terminator or something.
Now, I do know, because I've heard a little bit about the season finale. I do know that that character does come back, like
Nice.
flashbacks, I want to say. So it's like they did kill her off in present time, but you do see more of her character later in the series. Um, so there's that, because I thought her character was really interesting. I was wondering why they killed her off so soon, like literally within minutes.
Well, I mean, it creates a lot of drama because, you know, no spoiler alert, but you know, you in the very beginning, you still don't realize that there's a twin. Right? You don't necessarily realize, you know, the whole thing about the twins and what's going on with the twins. So like one of them, the greatest part of that fight was just when she said to the other, "Who trained you?" Right. So then, you know, then now you're just trying to figure out who's the real bad guy here. You know what I mean? Because it looks like there's a Yoda, and then there's a hold up. Who was the guy that trained?
Talking about Obi-Wan.
No. The guy that trained Darth Vader. You know, the big scary guy that was with Darth Vader. You know the guy. You know what I'm talking about?
You talking about Obi-Wan, the one who was with Anakin?
No. I'm talking about the guy that was with Anakin after the fact. The you know the pop seed, you call it the
Palpatine, unlimited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that the real name? You
Yeah,
know the guy that with all the lasers coming out his hands,
yeah,
that
that's
looks
Palpatine.
like he's dead. That guy, right? So you know there's one of those guys in this show, and
Okay.
whoever is training that girl, because she's gotten more training than her sister, because she has she has the Force. She used the Force in the fight, and then picked up the knives using the Force and all of that. But then the other one, Darth Sidious. Okay, somebody told us. Darth Sidious. Thank you.
Oh, Darth
Thank you.
Sidious. Oh,
Thank
shout
you.
out to CP. Thank you so much for letting us know.
Thank you. 'Cause I ain't know who, you know. See, if you're not into it hardcore like that, you forget little details.
That's my thing about Star Wars. I feel like you have to have like a PhD in goddamn galactic Star Wars, you know, history to watch it.
You know what though? Not necessarily, because here's the truth. Like, I think the people that read comic books enjoy Marvel movies a lot more. But we see now that it isn't necessarily necessary. And I think they're trying to go the same direction with Star Wars, because I'll tell you one thing, the drama in this show is good.
Okay.
You know, the two sisters and nobody knows what's going on. It makes you want to know. And then by the end of the episode, they're all like, you know, talking about that goodness sucks and evil is good. And it pulls you in because it makes you want to see who the boogeyman is.
See,
right?
I would say for me, maybe with this series, because this is one of the first times that I feel like they're focusing on all new characters separate from like Luke Skywalker and his crew, right? For this, it's been a lot of Luke Skywalker, you know, lore, right? So it's kind of like all connected. So it felt very much like you have to watch everything in order to know every little person, because every little person is connected to this person, connected to that person, connected to that person.
I disagree, because I think that a lot of it, I think what you have to know is general things. Like, it's basically like the Skywalker people versus the Sith Lords, right? And if you know that basic stuff, I think it's easy to follow this. because I definitely see what you're saying. Like you would definitely enjoy it more if you knew all of these people. But look, they didn't mention Skywalker, they didn't mention Darth Vader, they didn't mention any of those people,
Yeah, in
right?
this
But
show, but like every other like movie, and like maybe even a couple other shows. I'm pretty sure, even though I haven't seen it, I'm pretty sure Kasha, that one's going to mention because she worked directly with Anakin. So there's
I
right
see.
Obi-Wan for sure because
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
maybe even the Mandalorian. I don't know because I feel like the Mandalorian was in one of the movies.
I
Um,
mean, I think the Mandalorian is connected, but it's a totally different story. However, the Mandalorian is running around with a little baby Yoda. So
okay.
that makes sense for it to connect to that. Like this right here, I think it's connected, but in a different way because you basically have like a rogue, like a person that's trying to kill Jedi's
Mhm.
without using weapons, which
Okay.
is very weird. I guess it's just like trying to go away from the laser fighting.
Yeah, because they
You
had
know?
like all different kinds of like
Mhm.
um like weapons, and we haven't really seen much of that. Like we've seen staffs before, but and of course the lasers, but never like all these different kind of stuff that they were using here. So that was cool to see. Um,
Yeah, only one of them had a lightsaber in the beginning, right? And the
mhm,
other one had two knives. But
mhm.
then it looks like that's the whole point, right? Because I mean, even from the beginning when she was just like, "Who trained you?" That brought me in because I really want to know who the boogeyman is.
Mhm.
It's like a big secret. I mean, you probably know already, but like, because
I
you,
didn't watch all of the episodes. I have seen a couple, but not all. And as far as the one thing I do also appreciate about Star Wars is their variation of aliens. Like they do try to make the
oh
aliens.
man,
They do their thing with the aliens. A lot of other shows, at least back in the day, they used to be very this is just a person in like a with blue makeup on, right? But they definitely go out of their way to have like a variation of species, dialects,
hmm,
languages. So that's something that Star Wars always seems to get right. Um, the acting in here was pretty good. I don't know. But it's not something that's drawed me in specifically because of the performances.
mm,
More of like a visual kind of thing. It was like, okay, this is like nice to look at. So
hmm.
all in all, what do you feel about this first episode? Would you give it another shot, or one is good enough for you?
Oh yeah, I'll probably continue watching a probably couple more episodes because I mean it definitely brought me in. I want to learn more about the story. I thought this was a pretty interesting story, especially like with the twin spin.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Because I would like to see what happens more about their story, why they split up, what's gonna happen when they meet each other. Are they gonna have a forced fight? You know what I mean? Is one of them gonna have a lightsaber and the other one a couple little knives?
Hmm.
Like, and then how is one of them going to clear her name?
Hmm.
So
Okay.
like, yeah,
Watch more.
yeah.
So for me, I do know that the show kind of had like mixed reviews. Like I don't believe it was very well received, but
Mm,
we do have to remember that the Star Wars fan base tends to be a little racist and sexist. So I
mm.
wouldn't be surprised if that had a lot to do with it because of the diversity of the
Oh,
cast.
wait a minute. Did they Little Mermaid this show? Is that what they
They,
did?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised because they very much hate diversity in the Star Wars fan base.
Wow, that's
Um,
crazy. I
but
didn't know that.
from
Because
the
remember Little Mermaid? That was terrible.
Yeah, uh-huh, for sure. This is the rest of America. Right, exactly. This is America.
That's- I
Even
mean, it's probably the neck beards. You know the neck beards. They don't leave the basement.
yeah,
All
so
right.
but I enjoyed it enough to watch more than one episode. So I would say
Mm,
it's definitely worth a watch. I don't know if it deteriorates. Like sometimes you watch a show, it starts off good and then it starts to lose the plot a little bit. I'm not sure if
right.
that's the case here. But
Mm.
based off of this episode, I would definitely give it another shot. So let us know what you guys think. We will also be doing, like I said at the beginning of this episode, in this video, we are making our way through all of the live action Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. So the next one we're doing, I believe, is The Mandalorian. But we'll post on our socials beforehand, so you can join us for that as well. And if you like the video, please like the video. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.